You see, right from an early age, you've been taught that you are only happy or sad. You're happy if you get what you want. You're happy if you're a good boy or good girl. Mum is pleased with you, and then teachers pleased with you. All about ticks and gold stars. We are manipulated, which is understandable. Society is full of systems, and if the system is going to work, we've got to play our part, be a cog in the wheel, and got to toe the line, etc. But we're never told that our true disposition, the body-mind, is already happy. It doesn't need to be made happy. And that's what God realization is about. That's what Jesus came on earth to tell us. And Buddha, and Krishna, and people you may not have heard of, Muktananda, Nityananda, and all the other Anandas, and Adida, and myself. Our message is quite clear that we are already happy. And everything else, everything in life is a play on that happiness. It's a capital H happiness. It's not the gleeful happiness. It's a disposition of equanimity, of balance. Sila is the word in Sanskrit, S-I-L-A. As long as we are wanting to be made happy, we will live childishly. As long as we keep reacting to the conditions of life, we will be emotionally disturbed. You upset me. It's your fault I'm like this. Da 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 da. We will die in despair with the world. The body-mind isn't perfect. The body-mind will never be perfect. But the disposition of already happiness, the enlightened disposition, represented by the open hand, is already happy. And in that place, you are already in relationship to everything happening. There's no separate you from separate me. There's a oneness. There's an intimacy. It is pure love, unconditional. But what's stopping you and anyone else, everybody, from being already happy? This activity of the self-contraction. Poor me. Narcissistic, dwelling on yourself all the time. Pinching. Taking yourself away from being in relationship. Flowers and trees aren't contracting. They die, they wither, they need food and clothing, and well, not clothing, food and water. Of course, the body-mind needs that for it to survive for as long as it can survive, but eventually it dies. Systems. I've got to behave well. We've all got to behave in a certain manner. Of course behaviour matters. I wouldn't want to go and drive on the right-hand side of the road. Of course it matters how we behave in life. But you're not out to manipulate others to make you happy. The true mature adult, very few mature adults, are free of the emotional blackmailing. Everyone is dramatizing an emotional problem. People live in huge houses and they still moan and groan. They've got loads of money in the bank and they still moan and groan. Because people say it's human nature to need others to tell you that you are happy, to give you a tick for good behavior. Everyone is wanting acknowledgement. It's a ridiculousness. We stop growing because we get bogged down by the systems, by your patterns and tendencies of wanting more and more and more, never satisfied. See, the open hand disposition is already satisfied. It's only contraction that we superimpose upon our conditional life. And that's the root of anxiety, stress and tension and fear and doubt and alienation and the feelings of unlove, feelings of rejection. Once again, the adult world is extremely childish. And we're taught to believe in this and believe in that. There's thousands of children going around believing that their parents are their parents, but they're not. My brother believed that my father was his father too. But no, he wasn't, until he needed to have his birth certificate when he got married. So my brother, half-brother, believed, and I believed. I didn't know he was my half-brother. There are lots and lots of children going around believing. Beliefs are there to console us. Beliefs are not reality. Millions of people are believing there's a God up there with a white beard going to judge you, and judging you now, and making a note of every sin that you commit. And that's another belief, that sin is a behavioural thing. It's not. Sin, the true meaning of the word sin, is separation from God. It's this activity of the self-contraction, the pinching in the head and in the body. To believe in a white-bearded man up there going to give you whatever you want, if not right now, but in some other time, is simply an irresponsible take on life. It's immature. It's childish. And so many children are 70, 80 years old, 50 years old, 40 years, believing that their parents should still parent them. Sorry, not the 70-year-olds, that their parents would have died by now. But not necessarily. A 90-year-old man could have a child who's 70. This child-parent relationship is immature. And did you know when you get married, you marry your mother or you marry your father, you want to continue those patternings. There's a saying, before enlightenment I cooked rice, after enlightenment I cooked rice. So you can still do many of the same things as you did before you were enlightened, but you're doing them from a different disposition once you are enlightened, without the need for praise and gold stars and ticks and being uplifted and consoled and all that business. The true mature adult stands alone. He or she has realized the greatness of standing alone. Not lonely, but standing alone. Without the blackmailing. And then one's life becomes much more simple and sane. The majority of adults are insane, going around like headless chickens. And knowledge becomes power. I know this, so you owe me some money. You go to that man in the clinic and you say this and the other, and he says that and the other, and he says, that'll cost you 50 quid. Today I phoned up some plumbers. £130 they want for an hour. Just to repair a shower unit. That's not heating up properly. It's obscene, the greed. Then they expect me to say yes. They got all their patter. Be in charge of your own life. But once you're enlightened, you're not manipulating other people. To be in charge of your own life means that you're living in an enlightened disposition as the open hand. See how you react to the conditions of life. How do we grow out of this? Well, that's what we've got to find. People still in their nappy stages, in their toddler stages. Dependency and independency. Children are dependent upon their parents, as it should be. And teenagers become more independent. They don't want their parents, as it should be. But then as mature adults, we're neither independent nor dependent. On others and things to make us happy. I know what I'm talking about because I've examined my life for many, many years, and unhappiness is something that I'm doing to that state of already happiness. The enlightened being is free. Free of all that nonsense. There's a stillness. It's courageous to step away from the systems. It's courageous to release the scaffolding that's holding you up. An oak tree doesn't need any more support after a certain number of years. And there it is, standing proudly under all storms, no matter what is arising around the oak tree. It stands proudly, and it can stand there as long as the conditions are right for hundreds of years in all its glory. So how do we grow up? By growing away from this, from not doing this self-contraction. And how do we stop doing the self-contraction? By falling in love. Falling in love with already happiness. Falling in love, if you like, with the sun rather than the clouds. It was my spiritual master, Adidal Samrod, that helped me. There he is. And it's an ancient way to devote one's life to the spiritual master. To be enlightened, one requires to be re-educated, to be washed clean. You've got ears, but you don't hear. You've got eyes, but you don't see. Forget yourself. Everyone's remembering themselves. Remembering their past. Remembering their hurts and delights. So many people have access to grind. Millions of people die with access still to grind. Choose what you wish to do between now and your death. Living like a clenched fist is ugly, horrible, unlove, unhappiness, not nice, unpleasant. It really is ugly. Manipulative, finger pointing, blaming, despairing. Be of the cheerful disposition, already happiness, joy, delight, and trust that your life will be as it should be. Let it be God-made. God is what this disposition is. God is a disposition. God is life. God is energy. God is light. God is love. God is intimacy. God is simple happiness. God is now. And that's what we all are, truly. Realize this and live in and from that disposition, in and of that realization. Turn away from this, turn to this. Thank you for listening.